How did you find out your family was waiting for you to die? 6 months ago, I received devastating news from my doctor, what appeared to be an aggressive form of lymphoma. The diagnosis hit like a freight train, but I was determined to fight. My longtime partner Rachel and I had been together for 11 years, and she became my rock through every chemotherapy session and sleepless night of worry. After months of treatment and additional testing, my oncologist delivered unexpected news. The initial diagnosis had been incorrect. What we thought was advanced cancer was actually a much less aggressive condition that responded beautifully to treatment. I was going to be fine. When I called my family with the incredible news, something felt off about their reactions. My mother's response was lukewarm at best, and my older brother seemed almost disappointed. I mentioned this strange feeling to Rachel, but she suggested they might still be processing the emotional whirlwind we'd all been through. Maybe I was reading too much into their subdued reactions during such a confusing time. Last weekend, we attended my brother's birthday celebration at my mother's house. The whole family was there, including my brother's 12-year-old son, Kevin. During dinner, Kevin started acting unusually sulky and kept shooting angry glances in my direction. Finally, he couldn't contain himself anymore and blurted out something that made my blood run cold. I thought I was going to get a new PlayStation and maybe even a car when I turned 16 because Uncle David was supposed to die soon. The entire table fell silent. Kevin looked confused by everyone's horrified expressions and continued, "Mom said we'd have lots of money after Uncle David went to heaven because he doesn't have any kids." The words hung in the air like poison. I looked around the table at my family members, who were all suddenly fascinated by their dinner plates. Only Rachel met my eyes, her face pale with shock and disgust. My brother quickly tried to shush his son, claiming it was just childish misunderstanding, but the damage was done. I calmly asked Kevin why he thought he'd inherit anything when I had Rachel as my partner. The confusion on his young face told me everything. Clearly, the adults had been discussing my estate without considering her at all. My brother's wife actually turned her back to me when I mentioned Rachel's name, as if she was personally offended by the reminder. The next morning, my mother called with thinly veiled questions about my will and financial arrangements. She kept dancing around the subject, trying to extract information about what I'd planned for my estate. I realized with growing horror that my family had been treating my illness like a lottery ticket they were waiting to cash in. I'd never discussed my will with anyone, but apparently they'd all assumed my childless status meant they'd automatically inherit everything. The fact that I'd been with Rachel for over a decade seemed irrelevant to them. She wasn't real family in their eyes, despite being the person who'd held my hand through every medical appointment and treatment. That afternoon, I called my attorney and made significant changes to my will. The money I'd planned to leave for my nephew's education was redirected to cancer research organizations. My family's disappointment in my survival had shown me exactly who they really were, and it wasn't the loving support system I thought I had. The final straw came when my brother actually had the audacity to ask if I was punishing them for a child's innocent comment. Innocent? Kevin had simply repeated what he'd overheard the adults discussing, my potential death as their financial windfall. These people had been counting my money before I was even gone. Now I'm planning something that will truly secure my future, posing to Rachel. She's been my real family all along, and it's time the legal system recognized what my heart has known for years. My recovery didn't just save my life, it revealed who deserved to be part of it.